Hey everyone, so I just came outside to film the video of me getting my dahlias ready for winter, which I'm still gonna do, and I realized I left these pruners outside in the rain yesterday, and now there's a little bit of rust on them. So let me know if I've just damaged these forever. I mean, they still seem like they cut, or if there's anything I should do about the rust. Anyway, now on to the actual purpose of me being outside today. So what I'm gonna do is get all of my dahlias ready for winter. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that are in grow bags. I have 2 that are in a raised bed right there, and I'm going to be winterizing all of them. Now, last year was the first year that I ever attempted to overwinter my dahlia tubers, and I only had 2 plants, but I did a test of keeping one in the grow bag and storing it in our garage, and then I did a separate test of digging up one of the tubers, kind of wiping off all the dirt, and then putting it in a bowl of vermiculite and storing it that way. The winner between that test was the one I left in the garage, so I found that the one I left in the soil in the grow bag as it was and kept in the garage was a lot less maintenance. I think I maybe watered it once every 4, but maybe 6 weeks, and I would just test it by sticking my finger in, and if it felt dry, I gave it a thorough watering. So I maybe watered it 4 times over the winter before I got it ready to come back out in the garden. The one in vermiculite needed a lot more maintenance. Now, I don't know, so that one we kept indoors, just in the coolest place in our house. I don't know if it was obviously warmer than the garage, so maybe that dried it out quicker. I should have kept it in the garage as well, but that one definitely dried out. I had to keep it moist a lot more often than the one in the grow bag, and even with the amount that I was doing it, it wasn't successful. So what I'm going to do this year is the successful method. I'm going to leave, well, with the 6 in the grow bags, I'm going to leave all 6 in the grow bags, although I'm going to do a little test with some of those as well, but the plan for the majority of them will be just to keep them down in the garage. The ones in the raised bed here, I'm going to have to dig up because I don't think they'll survive a winter here in the raised bed. I mean, they're not even supposed to survive winter in the ground, and obviously this raised bed doesn't have as much insulation as it would in the ground. So I'm probably going to get to those last. But first, let me take you around and show you what dahlias I have, and then I'll get them kind of moved over to the spot where I'm going to get them ready for winter. So on this side of the deck, we have 4 dahlias, one that I still have to actually cut down. The other 3 I did cut down, and then they started to grow back, so I'm going to give them another cut after I get them moved. So that's what's over here. Then I have the 2 fire pot decorative dahlias in these 2, or in this one raised bed, in the 2 corners. And coming over here, I have 2 more. And these 2 are duplicates. So I'm going to test one of these, I think the Thomas A. Edison, in the greenhouse up here over winter, just a plastic greenhouse, and see how it does. Now, the reason I want to test in the garage versus the greenhouse is, 1, the greenhouse is up here, so that is nice if I can keep as many things up here over winter as possible instead of moving them down 3 flights into the garage and then back up in the spring. The other thing is I don't want to overcrowd the garage, so there's not a ton of room in there, and I'm going to be storing, I guess, 5 total in there. So if I can get one overwintered successfully in the greenhouse, then maybe I can keep all of them up here in the greenhouse going forward. But I'm going to test the Thomas A. Edison, again, because I have a duplicate of that, and of the 2 that I have duplicates of, that one was slightly less favored than the other one. I've cut down any of the dahlias that I didn't already cut down from when the wind destroyed them, and left just a couple inches here of the stem. So I have my 5 bags here. I'm going to do a few other things I'll go through with you. So I'm going to start with this bag up here. And then I have the stalks that I cut down that I will, again, just cut up into smaller pieces and put in a bag for 311 to come and pick up. So now that side is empty. That side is empty. I'm probably going to move some plants over there in containers because that wall gets the most sun because the sun is shining from behind us. So this next step is not something I did last year, and something I am definitely doing this year because of a growth story that I'm about to tell you. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to remove all of the debris and probably about an inch of the soil on the top. The reason I'm doing this is to get rid of any insects that are in there or any eggs that might be overwintering. What happened last year? So I, again, only had one that successfully overwintered. It was not this bag, it was one of the other ones down there. And I like to bring it inside so that it gets a little bit of a head start, and once it starts to sprout and it's warm enough, I'll move it outside. So one day I came into the room where these were sitting and I was like, that beige bag looks really dirty. Did my cat get in here and like scrape dirt up? What happened? And as I got closer, I realized the layer of dirt on the bag was actually a layer of very, very tiny little black flies. And I don't think I have moved faster in my life once I realized what was happening. Luckily, they were sitting right next to the door because I keep them in the sunlight. And I opened the door and, well, I guess I didn't move as quickly because I gently picked it up and moved it outside. Somehow I never found any black flies inside the house. They all seemed to be contained right on the bag. But that has taught me that things can live in here over winter. I'm assuming that's what happened. There were eggs in the bag, they hatched, and then there were thousands of little flies. And then the flies were all gone, I'd say maybe even a few hours when I came back out to check the bag. So that was a lesson learned. And I actually saw a slug sitting in some of these leaves just a few minutes ago, and the slug is now gone. So I assume it's climbed in here. So that's what I'm gonna do now is basically take out the leaves and some soil. And then I have my garbage can here that I'm going to put all of that soil into. So I think that looks pretty good. I also made labels when I first planted them, and I'm going to keep the labels in the bag because obviously now there's no way to tell them apart from each other. I think these look pretty good now, and hopefully there's no bugs that are going to hatch and invade my house next year. But other than this, I mean, there's not really much else that needs to be done before storing them. We just got rain yesterday, so they've all been thoroughly watered. Last year I did give them a drink of water before I moved them downstairs. And then, like I said, I'll check on them about once a month, just sticking my finger in, seeing if the soil's dry and if they need to be watered. That's just to keep the bulbs from drying out, because they will dry out if you don't keep them moist. But you also don't want them to rot and keep them overly wet. So it's, again, just kind of finding that balance. But I'd say if you do like 4 to 6 weeks, hopefully you're pretty good to go. The temperature in our garage, I'd say probably stays around like 40 degrees, and it worked out just fine for these last year. You don't want to store them anywhere warm in the house because that's not going to give them kind of the cool period that they need. Now you can, if you want to, dig them up in the fall to divide the tubers. I'm obviously not dividing my tubers this fall, and I actually think, so 5 of the 6 that I have right here, I just planted for the first time this spring, so they were really small. So I don't know, I mean, maybe I could divide them, but I'm probably not gonna take the time to divide them next spring, but I do think the one I planted 2 years ago, which is the only one without the label, that's how I'll know which one it is, which was the Penn Hill watermelon, but looks like cafe au lait. That one I probably will dig up in the spring and divide then and plant that into 2 different pots. So now what I'm going to do, like I said, there's one that I'm going to test storing in the greenhouse, so I'm going to take that one right now over to the back deck. The one Thomas A. Edison dahlia is here now in front of the greenhouse. I haven't moved anything into the greenhouse yet. Probably will pretty soon here, but for now it's just going to sit here. And then the other ones need to go all the way downstairs. So I actually think I'm only going to deal with the dahlias in grow bags today, and that's because I don't know yet what I want to do with the ones in the raised beds. I'm kind of toying around with, do I try storing them in vermiculite again? Do I try replanting them in pots for the winter and storing them? I don't know yet, but once I figure that out, I will let you know. So now all that's left to do is get the rest moved downstairs, but that's going to be everything for this video. So it didn't really take a lot of time kind of getting them ready, and yeah, just hopefully they all come back next year and I can divide some of them as well next spring and have even more dahlias. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.